Welcome back, everybody. So my next movie review for you is Ace Ventura. So before I get into this movie review, if you like watching my movie reviews, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. I would absolutely, amazingly appreciate that. If you could do that, it'd be absolutely fantastic. So Ace Ventura was released on February the 4th, 1994. Its director was Tom Shadalak. That's, I think, how you say his second name. It was made on a budget of 15 million US dollars and made 107.2 million US dollars in the box office. The cast in this movie does consist of Jim Carrey, Sean Young, Courtney Cox, Dan Marino, Tony Locke, plus many others. So in this Ace Ventura movie, we get to follow a private detective in the form of Ace Ventura, played by Jim Carrey, who specializes in finding lost animals. When Snowflake, a football team's mascot, disappears, he is basically hired in to basically hunt down or track down this mascot. So this movie itself, see, again, it came out in 1994. I was probably about 11, 12, and I did actually watch it. Now, I find this movie more entertaining now than what I did when I first watched it. There are many reasons for that, and guess what? I'm going to get into those reasons right about now. So, here we go. Movie review for Ace Ventura. Like I said, I appreciate and find this movie a lot more funnier now than what I did when I was younger. The reason for this is there is comedic moments in this movie, and I just thought of one, it just made me laugh. Okay, there's comedic moments in this movie which are more directed at adult kind of content, and when I was young, and when you're at about 11, you're very naive and you don't really understand the jokes that much. As I grew older, those jokes and those kind of comedic moments start to become a lot funnier, and I just find myself enjoying this movie even more. Don't get me wrong, it could be just nostalgia. It's a movie that I grew up with, but I actually generally find this movie a lot funnier than what I did when I was younger. It is an extremely entertaining watch. Okay, the storyline in this is not complicated in any way, shape, or form, but I'm cool with that. It's all fine because I generally love seeing Jim Carrey on screen in this movie. He is funny from start to finish, and it looks like he actually had a lot of fun while making this movie. But that being said, there is something in the bonus facts at the end of this movie which suggests he might not have enjoyed this movie, making this movie. There was a lot going on behind the scenes, basically, but as a whole, as a general, but this movie does give me some enjoyment. It is funny in all the right places. There are moments where I actually giggle. Okay, performances, supporting performances in this movie, yeah, okay, they're not the best, okay? But essentially, it's more about the comedic moments from Jim Carrey, to be honest with you. And it is solely focused around him, and his presence on the screen in this movie is just absolutely fantastic. With the added help of the supporting characters in this movie, so like as in with Courtney Cox, she adds her certain element in here, but she doesn't deliver a lot of comedic moments as such. Sean Young in this is an interesting watch, and I'm not going to give too much away just in case you haven't seen this movie. I'll be very hard pushed to find somebody that hasn't seen this movie unless you're below a certain age, because the reason for that is that this movie does contain some adult content or suggestion of some adult content. But even still, I say that, I was probably about 12, 13 when I watched it. But like I said, there were certain jokes and certain things going in this movie that at that time I didn't really understand. It wasn't until I started to get older I started to understand them a little bit more. I don't think we know what we're getting into there, to be fair, and I'm not going to give anything away at all. But as a whole, general, it's just the presence of Jim Carrey on screen. He nails this character very well, and this performance extremely well, and it just makes for a very entertaining watch. The way the movie was set out, I really enjoyed. Like I said, storyline not hard to follow. It's not really about. It is about the storyline because they do stick to it. But it's not complicated. Again, it's a simple storyline, so you can just more focus on the comedic moments. And essentially, this movie is a absolutely brilliant, funny comedic moment, close in line with the Cable Guy for me with Jim Carrey. Now, the Cable Guy does cover some quite dark graphic content if you look at it, but it's still an extremely hilarious movie for me. And I have to be honest, I really, really enjoy the Cable Guy. And there's quite a few Jim Carrey movies that I generally like, and it's his presence on screen. He kind of takes over. He overshadows other characters in every movie he's done. Even in some of the serious movies I've seen him do, he does overshadow. And I just generally like what he does with certain characters. It's just fantastic, and that's just everything. You know, I know that the comedic moments were given to him in the script, but he manages to nail them, and it just makes it for a very, very entertaining watch in every single way. And this is just more of an appreciation than a review, because for me, yes, there is a storyline there. Yes, it's not overcomplicated, but it's all of that, the storyline, supporting characters, and all that kind of stuff are severely overshadowed by Jim Carrey's presence on screen. And if I was to rate this movie, it would be a strong 10 out of 10, just for comedic factor, just in itself. And that just takes away anything else. And I could probably go through this movie and probably find flaws and holes in this. But again, I don't want to. It's a movie that I watched when I was growing up, and I just really, really don't want to find any flaws with it, because I still get, even though I get the more adult kind of jokes in this movie now, I still get exactly the same amount of enjoyment while watching this movie than I did the first time. Probably a little bit more now, because obviously the material that's in there, it was kind of directed more at adults, and it's just an entertaining kind of funny watch, which just I can quite easily sit down and watch every time. So please stay tuned for 5 bonus facts to do with Ace Ventura, which are just about to come up now. So here we go, 5 bonus facts to do with Ace Ventura, and fact number 1 is that Jim Carrey was not the first choice to star in this movie. It was actually offered to Rick Moranis first, and he turned it down. Now, looking at this now knowing that Rick Moranis was, say, like in Ghostbusters, Little Shop of Horrors, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Honey, I Blew Up the Kids, and all that kind of stuff, I try and think of his comedic level against Jim Carrey's, and to be honest, I really, really don't think that Rick Moranis in this could have really made this movie better. I think, if anything, and I generally like Rick Moranis. Yeah, anyway, as an actor, but I think Jim Carrey was the only man for this job, because he had that kind of right frame of mind to be able to pull a character like this off. And with some of the things that go on in this movie, Jim Carrey would be the only choice for me. Now, it's as simple as that. Thinking that Rick Moranis could display that kind of persona on screen, or what they kind of wanted, I just can't see it. That's myself. That's my own personal opinion. But there we go. So, fact number 2. Jim Carrey actually looked to his past to actually create this character, because he did actually struggle to get into character with this one. So he basically based it on one of his stand-up performances, as in this character's personality and performance, and just his dominance around people, or his attitude around people, apparently. I found that a very, very interesting fact, because when you watch the movie Jim Carrey, it just seems like it's coming naturally, but when you find out that he actually was struggling to get into character with this one, it just proves that being a comedic kind of actor is not the easiest thing in the world to do. And even though you probably think it is, it's probably not, and I don't really want to try it myself. So, fact number 3, Jim Carrey had his own personal chef on set to prepare his food for him and his pet iguana. Completely random fact, but I just found that really, really awesome, to be fair. I don't know why, I just found that really, really awesome. Fact number 4, both director and Carrey of Ace Ventura thought, or they had this ever rising anxiety that this movie would actually destroy their careers, believe it or not. And again, like I said, it's a movie which is a shot in the dark. A comedic movie will either do really, really well, or it's going to do really, really bad. And I've seen some comedic movies which have done really, really shit, to be honest with you. And I've seen some very, very, very good comedy movies as well. And I think if they just over push that comedic kind of moments in this movie, I think it would have spoiled it. But I think they just got it just at the right level for me, where I can still have a giggle and still enjoy the movie. Fact number 5 is that one scene was actually supposed to be more graphic in this movie. So there is a scene where Ace basically hits some henchmen over the head with a large hook. In the original cut, before it get cut, before it went into the editing room, apparently those two henchmen's heads were actually supposed to be decapitated. So it was supposed to be more graphic, but they literally cut it out just before that moment. Again, adding something like that into a movie like this, yeah, it would have spoiled it, to be fair. It would have felt completely out of place, and it would have that kind of conflicting kind of thing of, what is this movie trying to be? Is it kind of, not to say it's horror or anything like that, but when you stick in a kind of scene like that into a comedy movie which is directed to a kind of very specific audience, it kind of makes it feel like the movie doesn't really know what it wants to be, kind of thing. And I get it, and it was a good move to cut that out, because it would have spoiled the movie. Just that one scene for me would have probably just spoiled that movie for me. So there are 5 interesting facts about Ace Ventura. I'm sure there's plenty more out there, but there we go. So on that note, please tell me what you think. Put it in the comments down below as normal. I hope you all have a great rest of the day, whatever you're doing. Please take care, and goodbye.